Time for our first of 5 pre-finals, and it's the power of silence that returns once again. Oh, dearie me, Hector Ramirez has just had a bit of a spin coming out of the dummy grid, but here is your starting order for the E20 pre-final. 3 wins from 3 yesterday meant that Thijs Dams from Belgium will line up on pole position. Tomasz Ibsen from Poland will be alongside with Mats-Johan Overhoff and Emma Svensson rounding out the grid for E20 seniors. In E20 senior masters, on pole position it will be Germany's Andreas Matis with Hector Ramirez from Chile alongside the eldest driver on the grid. Heiner Born and Dutch journalist Kaz Boldemans will be on row number 4, completing the senior masters grid. And then for the E20 juniors, it's Christopher Holst from Switzerland, Antoine Lemieux from Canada, Arthur Lorimier from France, and Frédéric Lemieux rounding out the complete grid. So, as with yesterday, E20 will be the only class with a standing start. So the seniors and the senior masters will be released on the first set of red lights going out, and then the juniors will be let loose after that, and they'll be starting from behind the yellow line on the start-finish straight. So everyone in position. Flag marshal walks away from the front of the grid. It's 9 minutes on the timer plus an additional lap. Red lights are on, red lights are off, and underway we go. And a good start from Thijs Dams once again. And now Tomasz Ibsen looking towards the outside. Emma Svensson gets up the inside of Mats-Johan Overhoff, and it's a bit of a fight behind Thijs Dams, and Overhoff has gotten through back up into second position. Hector Ramirez had a little bit of a spin going through into turn 2. As the juniors have now been released, as Christopher Holst leads the way, ahead of Antoine Lemieux in second. Looks like Frédéric Lemieux got a better start than Arthur Lorimier. So Frédéric moves up into third position. But Thijs Dams trying to get away, but can't get away because Mats-Johan Overhoff and Tomasz Ibsen, followed by Emma Svensson, are not too far behind. Thijs Dams leads the way into turn 12 as we complete lap number 1. He leads, but not by much. And it was 0.2 of a second. The boost button will be used in 2 different capacities as Mats-Johan Overhoff was trying to look for the move for the race lead. Going through out of turn number 2 and on the approach onto turn 3. Emma Svensson is a little bit further behind the top 3 drivers in the E20 seniors as Andreas Matis continues to lead the way in senior masters, but the Netherlands' Kaz Boldemans, mechanicked and coached by Elis Spiezia, is now up into second in the class. So 0.46 separated the top 3 after the opening lap as they make their way through Cafe Corner. Heiner Born and Hector Ramirez round out the senior masters running order as such. Juniors now making their way through turn number 8 as our leaders make their way through the final corner. 2 laps completed, and the lead is still about just over 2.5 tenths of a second. Under 6 tenths covers the top 3 drivers. So Christopher Holst has gotten away into the distance in comparison with Canada's Antoine Lemieux. Frédéric Lemieux also from Canada. So the Lemieux siblings here with us this weekend, coached by Scott Campbell. But still very much a stalemate at the moment. Thijs Dams continues to lead the way. He has led all the way through time qualifying and the 3 heats yesterday. The only driver out of anybody here this weekend that has done a clean sweep so far. Another lap completed. Half a second covers the top 3. Emma Svensson about 3 seconds away from the battle for first, second and third, as Arthur Lorimier closing in on Frédéric Lemieux for third place in E20 juniors. as the top 3 overall, as Lorimier sweeps to the outside through turn number 12 and looks to the inside, maybe using the boost button and the slipstream down into turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, Hector Ramirez is picking up speed. Antoine Lemieux has set the fastest lap of anybody, 57.519, was the best part of nearly 0.6 of a second quicker than Christopher Holst, who still leads. The gap between first and second in E20 Juniors was just under a second. As there is a move. Oh, that was a late lunge there from Tomasz Ibsen, trying to go up the inside of Mats Johan Overhoff, and the payer made a little bit of contact, front bumper into right side pod. But Mats Johan Overhoff manages to hold station in second, but that has allowed Days Dams to get away into the distance. And the lead in E20 Juniors is getting to a crunch point, because now Christopher Holst has only got a fraction of a car behind. Well, Antoine Lemieux has just gotten through. Antoine Lemieux now takes the lead in the pre-final for E20 Juniors. Meanwhile, at the front of E20 Seniors, Taze Dams' lead will extend. How far ahead of 6.5 of a second, we're about to find out. It is just under 0.6, so Mats Johan Overhoff has gone slightly quicker. Antoine Lemieux, before passing Christopher Holst, put in the fastest lap of anybody, 57.493. So they come out of the final corner. They complete their 5th lap. And Mats Johan Overhoff is trying to get away from Tomasz Ibsen from Poland and chase down Taze Dams. Taze Dams has had the measure of everybody so far this weekend. And Covadis Racing in the YouTube chat saying, go Kaz Boldemans. At the moment, Kaz is still currently second in Senior Masters. And he's 1.788 seconds behind Andreas Martis. And the previous lap, he was just under 0.5 slower. Taze Dams still leads, but Mats Johan Overhoff is slowly chipping away. He's just put in the fastest lap as the 7.55 from Germany. So the gap now down to 0.434. Christopher Holst is within 0.5 second of Antoine Lemieux in the lead of E20 Juniors. As those two just come through the 12th and final corner. Mats Johan Overhoff again is just trying to close that gap. He was the best part of nearly 0.2 of a second quicker than Taze Dams, so the race might be coming to him in the latter stages of this race. They make their way to the top 3 in E20 Seniors out of turn number 9. There is a distinct dry line starting to show itself on the circuit. 2 minutes and 20 plus an additional lap still to go. A little bit of a sideways moment there for Taze Dams. That lost him at least probably 0.1 of a second through that final sector. Gap now down to 0.2 between Taze Dams and Mats Johan Overhoff. And Mats Johan Overhoff was over 0.2 quicker. That uncharacteristic mistake from Taze Dams has really given a window of opportunity for Mats Johan Overhoff to chase the Belgian down. And again, slightly sideways through turn 6 for the 721. But both will be using the boost button, which gives the drivers an additional 4 kilowatts of power, in addition to the 20 kilowatts of standard output on the E20, which roughly converts to around about close to 40 horsepower. As we have got a yellow flag, so Hector Ramirez has not had a good day in the office so far. He's just had another spin and actually on the start-finish straight. And he is down at the back end of the field. Taze Dams did respond on that particular occasion. Hector Ramirez keeps out of the way as the top 3 go through. And Gaz Boldemans has started to slightly close that gap to Andreas Martis, and is also in his own right in his own right, just over 1.2 seconds ahead of Germany's Rainer Born, who rounds out the top 3 in Senior Masters. Gap was 0.3 of a second after 8 laps of racing. We're about to complete lap number 9 out of 10, as we will go on to the penultimate lap of the E20 pre-final here at Karting Genk. So Mats-Johan Overhoff will now know he's got 2 laps to go for it. 0.236 is the gap between first and second overall. And through turns 3, 4 and 5, Mats-Johan Overhoff is getting closer and closer. And he's late on the brakes through turn number 6. The E20 Masters field comes around the final corner and into turns 1 and 2. Antoine Lemieux, now 8th overall, is leading by over a second over Christopher Holst. Arthur Lorimier rounds out the top 3, and Frédéric Lemieux still running in 4th position and 11th overall in the full classification. Just over 1,500 metres remains of the E20 pre-final. And Thijs Daams has managed to hold on to that race lead, but Mats-Johan Overhoff will keep on pushing right up until the checkered. Last lap board is out. 0.23 is the gap. It's all about what does Mats-Johan Overhoff have in his pocket, his back pocket thereof, to try and get through. At this moment, Thijs Daams still controlling the proceedings. Down the Europolon they go for the final time. If Mats-Johan Overhoff was a couple of kart lengths closer, he might have had a shot through into turn 7. Now into the sweeper at 8. And Mats-Johan Overhoff, that particular occasion into Cafe Corner, was right up the rear bumper of Thijs Daams into turn 12 for the final time. Mats-Johan Overhoff sweeps wide, but is it going to be enough? They're both going to be applying the boost button, but it's going to be Thijs Daams who completes another race victory in a row. That's 4 for the Belgian. Mats-Johan Overhoff finishes 0.3 of a second behind. Tomas Ibsen takes 3rd, and Emma Svensson, who nearly gave those 3 drivers a bit of a fright on the opening lap, finishes 4th. Hector Ramirez will finish a lap down as Andreas Matis takes another victory in Senior Masters, with Antoine Lemieux from Canada once again taking a win in the E20 junior classification. So Thijs Daams wins overall and wins his 4th successive race in a row by just over 0.3 of a second ahead of Mats-Johan Overhoff. Tomas Ibsen rounds out the top 3, followed by Sweden's Emma Svensson. Andreas Matis picks up his 3rd win in as many races in the Senior Masters class, ahead of Kaz Baldemans, who actually closed on in to get to within 6.5 of the 887 from Germany by the checkered flag. Rainer Born rounds out the top 7, with Hector Ramirez rounding out the 12 strong that completed the race, with Ramirez having a spin on the start-finish straight. Antoine Lemieux wins E20 Junior ahead of Switzerland's Christopher Holst. Arthur Lorimier and Frédéric Lemieux rounding out the E20 Junior classification. Fun and banter in the paddock area, especially in the pre-grid. Smiles and waves along with it, as everyone was looking forward to getting out there for the first of 5 pre-finals, with E20 Junior, Senior and Masters ready to go. And there was the first drama for Hector Ramirez in the race, coming out of the dummy grid, spinning, but still managed to take his customary grid position. the lights went out and seniors and senior masters got underway. Great start there from Kaz Baldemans, who got to the outside of Hector Ramirez early doors. And then Hector Ramirez had another spin and went backwards and had a little bit of an unfortunate touch with Reina Born as Emma Svensson trying to put the Frighteners on the top 3 in the senior class. Christopher Holst would lead the way in E20 juniors at the early stage, followed by Antoine and Frédéric Lemieux with Arthur Lorimier rounding out the top 4, as we see some of the Minimax drivers watching on from the sidelines. Thomas Ibsen with a very robust move up the inside of Mats-Johan Overhoff as the pair were battling over second position. But Mats-Johan Overhoff kept it pinned to the outside. And then Hector Ramirez, you know what they say, bad things come in threes. And for Hector Ramirez, bumping over the curbs and completely sideways out of the 12th and final corner, even manages to do some donuts on the start-finish straight. But Taze Dams winning ahead of Mats-Johan Overhoff, and that will provisionally be your front row for the final later on. Andreas Martis would take the win in Senior Masters, and a victory for Canada's Antoine Lemieux, who was nearly sideways coming out of the final corner to win in Juniors.